The marbled cat reached the vine bridge at first light, when the forest canopy still held the night, and the ground below remained dim and indistinct. Mist hung low between trunks, clinging to understory leaves and softening distance. Sound travelled poorly here. Even the forest's smallest movements arrived muted and late. Above, the canopy was continuous, not solid. The vine bridge formed where several thick lianas crossed between two mature trees, sagging under their own weight but bound together by years of growth. Smaller vines wrapped around them, epiphytes rooted along the junction. Leaves layered thickly across the span, hiding the structure beneath. From below, it looked like a path. From above, it looked like ground. The marbled cat approached along a horizontal branch, body low and elongated, tail extended straight behind to balance micro-adjustments. Its paws placed silently, claws sheathed, weight moving smoothly from shoulder to hip. Arboreal movement was not about speed, it was about sequence. The cat paused where the branch met the vine bridge. It lowered its head and looked down through the leaves. The forest floor lay far below, obscured by foliage and distance. The cat tested the bridge with one paw. The leaves compressed softly, springing back almost immediately. Beneath them, the vines held. No sound, no shift. The cat transferred a fraction more weight. Still nothing. This was the danger. Vines did not fail gradually. They redistributed load silently, passing tension along their length until something else reached its limit. The marbled cat stepped fully onto the bridge. Its paws disappeared into leaves that had grown thick over time, forming a false surface. The leaves masked gaps between vines, smoothed irregularities, and hid places where structure had thinned. The cat moved slowly. Each step was placed deliberately, weight rolling rather than pressing. The cat kept its body low, spreading mass across as many contact points as possible. Tail adjusted continuously, countering shifts too subtle to be seen. Halfway across, the bridge changed, not visually, tactilely. The cat felt it through its pads, a slight delay between pressure and response. The leaves compressed and stayed compressed a fraction longer than before. Moisture. Rain from the previous night had soaked into the leaf layer, adding weight and reducing friction between vines. The bridge was heavier now, less elastic. The cat paused. It waited, letting the structure settle under static load. Vines creaked faintly, not loudly enough to echo, but enough to register in the cat's chest. That sound had not been there before. The cat shifted its weight backwards slightly. The leaves ahead sagged, not dramatically, just enough. The cat froze. This was late failure, the kind that did not announce itself until balance had already been committed. The marbled cat lowered its center of gravity further and advanced one paw, placing it where vines intersected most densely. Here, the structure was stronger, but the leaves hid how narrow that support actually was. As the paw pressed down, the leaves slid. Not the vines, the leaves. The surface layer shifted sideways, bunching and collapsing into a gap between two lianas. The paw dropped several centimeters before catching on vine beneath. The cat reacted instantly. Claws extended, biting into vine fiber. Hind legs tensed and pushed backward, redistributing weight toward the branch behind. The leaves ahead continued to slide, pulled by gravity and moisture, cascading softly downward. They made no loud sound, only a dry, continuous whisper as they fell. The bridge did not break. It opened. Where leaves had masked space, now there was air. The cat clung motionless, muscles locked, breathing controlled. It waited until the sliding stopped, until the bridge reached a new equilibrium. Only then did it move. The marbled cat retreated carefully, reversing its steps without lifting weight abruptly. It returned to the branch it had come from and crouched there, watching the bridge. From this angle, the danger was visible. The vine structure itself was intact, but uneven. Load-bearing points were narrow and irregular. The leaf layer had created the illusion of continuity, hiding the fact that the bridge was not a surface, but a lattice. The cat waited Wind stirred slightly, dislodging more leaves. The bridge changed shape subtly as weight redistributed. Nothing snapped, nothing fell dramatically, but the path was gone. The marbled cat did not attempt another crossing. Instead, it climbed upward, moving vertically to a higher branch that curved around the gap. The route was longer, required more climbing, and offered less concealment. But it was honest. As the cat moved away, it glanced once more at the vine bridge. From a distance, it still looked passable. Leaves still covered most of it. To anything approaching quickly, it would appear unchanged. The cat carried the lesson forward. In the canopy, danger did not always come from broken branches or snapping wood. Sometimes it came from surfaces that looked complete only because something lighter had settled there first, hiding absence, hiding gaps, hiding the fact that support was not continuous. The marbled cat disappeared into the upper foliage, choosing routes that required more effort but answered immediately. Because in trees, as on the ground, the most dangerous failures were not loud. They were the ones that waited until leaves, not structure, gave way first. The marbled cat did not abandon the vine bridge entirely. It avoided it, but it watched. From a higher branch, offset from the original approach, the cat observed how the bridge behaved as the morning progressed. Light filtered down unevenly now, warming some leaves while others remained damp and heavy. Moisture evaporated slowly, not enough to lighten the structure, but enough to loosen what bound leaves together. The bridge changed without movement. That was important. Leaves that had slid earlier did not return to their previous positions. They settled lower, exposing narrow strips of vine that caught light differently. These exposed sections dried faster, tightening slightly as fibers lost moisture. Tension redistributed. The cat noticed it immediately, not through sound, but through shape. The bridge sagged less in one place and more in another. The illusion of uniform weakness dissolved into a pattern of uneven strength. By mid-morning, insects arrived. Ants moved across the vines, using the exposed fibers as roots. Beetles crawled beneath leaves that still clung to the lattice. Their movement added small, continuous disturbances that never triggered collapse, but never allowed full stillness either. The bridge was alive with minor load. That mattered. The marbled cat approached again from a different branch, stopping several body lengths away from where it had retreated earlier. It did not step onto the bridge. It extended one forepaw and touched a vine directly, bypassing the leaf layer entirely. The vine answered immediately. Firm, elastic, honest. The cat shifted slightly and tested another vine, then another. Some flexed more than others. One creaked faintly under minimal pressure. The cat withdrew its paw. That vine was saturated internally. Moisture remained trapped in its fibers, increasing weight and reducing tensile strength. It would fail under full load, but not before redistributing stress to its neighbors. The cat waited. Patience here was not about fear, it was about allowing the structure to reveal itself. As the sun climbed higher, air currents increased slightly. Leaves dried unevenly, curling at their edges. Where they curled, they lost grip and slid further, exposing more of the lattice beneath. The bridge became more readable. By early afternoon, the cat moved closer and lowered itself until its chest rested against the branch, forelegs extended. It reached out and pressed two paws onto two separate vines simultaneously. This was deliberate. Two contact points allowed comparison. One vine held steady. The other sank a fraction under pressure, stretching before stopping. The cat withdrew both paws instantly. That delay mattered. The bridge still could not be trusted with full weight. But something else had changed. The leaves were no longer masking failure. They had already failed. What remained was structure, and structure could be read. The cat adjusted its plan. Rather than crossing at the original point, it traced the vine bridge laterally, following it toward where it merged more tightly with the supporting trees. There, vine density increased. Load paths shortened. The cat tested again. This time, the vines answered quickly. Flex was immediate and limited. No delay. The cat stepped onto the bridge, but only partially. One hind leg remained on the branch behind, acting as an anchor. Weight transferred gradually, never fully committing. The bridge held. The cat advanced one step, then stopped again. The leaves beneath its paws did not slide now. Most had already fallen or compacted into stable pockets. What remained clung to the vines rather than masking them. The cat progressed slowly, never lifting more than one paw at a time. Halfway across the narrower section, the cat felt it again. A change, not collapse, stretch. One vine elongated under load, passing tension sideways. The cat felt the shift through its shoulders and spine, a subtle lateral pull that did not belong to gravity alone. The cat froze. Stretch meant redistribution. Redistribution meant unknown endpoints. The cat reversed carefully, stepping back until all weight returned to the branch behind. The stretched vine recovered slowly, fibers tightening back into place with a faint vibration. The cat waited until movement stopped. Then it retreated fully. This bridge would hold, but not for speed, not for repetition, and not without constant recalculation. The marbled cat climbed higher into the canopy, choosing a route that involved multiple jumps and vertical climbs rather than a single horizontal crossing. It cost more energy. It exposed the cat briefly to open space, but each contact point answered immediately. That mattered more. From above, the cat looked down once more at the vine bridge. It was still there, still intact, still tempting. But it had changed category. It was no longer a path. It was a test, one that could be passed under perfect conditions, once, slowly, and only by reading structure rather than surface. The cat would remember this. In the canopy, leaves were not ground. They were memory, what had settled there last, hiding what had already shifted. The marbled cat disappeared into the higher branches, moving where every grip spoke clearly and immediately. Because in trees, weight did not forgive delay, and surfaces that remembered yesterday's load were already preparing to fail tomorrow. The final change came from above, not from wind, not from rain, from weight that did not belong. The marbled cat sensed it first through vibration that travelled too cleanly through the vines. A low, brief tremor passed along the bridge and into the supporting branches, then vanished. It was not the erratic movement of animals. It was not the slow sway of weather. It was deliberate. Humans had crossed nearby, not often, but enough. The forest here lay near a narrow ridge used occasionally by people moving through the canopy on ropes, collecting plants, checking traps, or crossing ravines where ground travel was harder. They did not use the vine bridge itself, but their movement altered the tension field around it. Ropes pulled branches, branches pulled vines, vines redistributed load. The marbled cat approached cautiously, stopping well short of the bridge. It watched how the structure behaved now. Something was wrong. The vines no longer relaxed fully after movement. Even when the canopy was still, the bridge remained under residual tension. Fibers that should have returned to neutral stayed stretched, their twist altered subtly. This was fatigue. The cat tested a vine lightly. The response was immediate, but brittle. The elasticity that had once allowed gradual redistribution was reduced. The vine held, but without forgiveness. The leaves told the rest. They no longer slid freely. Many had been crushed into the lattice by downward force from above, wedged between vines and stems. Instead of masking gaps, they now formed stiff pads that transferred load unpredictably. Leaves had become structure. That was dangerous. The cat stepped closer and placed a paw on a leaf-packed section. It held, then shifted suddenly sideways as compressed foliage adjusted under pressure. The cat withdrew instantly. This was worse than before. Failure was no longer vertical, it was lateral. The marbled cat waited, watching. Later that day, a distant sound confirmed it. Faint human voices, far above, moving along a rope line anchored to a large tree near the bridge. The rope tugged once, twice. Branches flexed, The vine bridge answered, not immediately. A few seconds later, tension shifted. One vine stretched further, passing stress to another. A leaf bundle dropped softly, disappearing into the understory below. The bridge did not break, but it had been altered again. The cat understood fully now. This structure was no longer governed only by natural cycles of growth and decay. It had entered a new regime, intermittent external load. Weight applied irregularly, not often enough to destroy the bridge, but often enough to prevent recovery. The worst condition. The marbled cat did not test it again. It rerouted its entire canopy path, moving farther upslope where branches were thicker and vine density lower. The route was longer and required more exposure, but it avoided shared load paths entirely. Later that night, the cat watched from a distance as a civet attempted to cross the vine bridge. The civet moved cautiously, heavier, less precise. The bridge held until it did not. A section sagged suddenly as leaf-packed vines shifted sideways. The civet caught itself, claws biting into vine, then retreated awkwardly. Nothing broke, but the cost was clear. The bridge punished commitment now. The marbled cat left the area entirely before dawn, shifting territory toward a section of forest untouched by canopy traffic. The lesson was complete. Leaves failed first, vines failed later. But repeated wait ensured that when failure came, it would not be vertical or loud. It would be sideways, silent, and immediate. In a forest where survival depended on instant feedback from every grip, structures that carried memory of Chuzhoi Ves were no longer neutral features. They were liabilities. The marbled cat moved through higher branches where nothing pretended to be ground, where every surface declared itself honestly, either branch or air. Because in the canopy, the most dangerous paths were not the broken ones. They were the ones that still looked whole, long after they had stopped belonging to the forest alone.